the box scores.
Box scores.
We check each other's box scores and scores online.
Baseball. Box scores.
So football, baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey.
Box scores and bourbon.
Boys and girls, I know it's been so long since you've seen us, but we are back from a hiatus. Yours truly was on a vacation with the family, and Manny was also on holiday.
We was all over the place. Yes, we are back and better than ever.
All over the world. You may as well call us Carmen San Diego's. We were both twinning out there in the world. Where on earth were we? We are back. We are going to talk about LeBron, the fallout of him joining the Sixers. Of course, we all know this is clout chasing. We'll get to that. We'll also discuss in depth the MLB trade deadline, some trades I would like to see. And Manny's going to hit me with some quick reaction trades. That'll be fun. But before we get to that, the first pitch. When you put on a garage sale, I don't know if you're like me, but when you're trying to sell your most prized garbage, there's always seems to be this sense of rejection when someone says, no, I don't want your trash. Well, it's kind of the opposite when it comes to the MLB trade deadline. Every year in the annual rendition of the MLB trade deadline, buyers across both leagues will try to set themselves up in order for them to decide whether or not the move they are going to make or what they are going to give up is worth it in the end to become the probable or possible World Series champion. Now, you can have various levels of trades that go on here. You have teams that go big seemingly every year. You have whether it's the Yankees getting a Jazz Chisholm or it's the Dodgers getting everybody plus their moms and putting them on deferrals. Yankees, of course, losing. And then the Dodgers, of course, won't ever stop winning the World Series. And then you got the Rangers, who won the World Series in 23, but building at the fringes the last 2 years with nothing to show for it. Or the Brewers, my beloved team from north of Chicago, who build at the fringes and somehow just missed the World Series by that much. Regardless of what it is, this year is going to be a seller's market, which will undoubtedly have buyers sweating like Anthony Fauci at a Senate hearing. No matter what happens, this is bound to be another fun rendition of Hug Watch, not knowing who's going to go where. Maybe we'll get a little thing I like to call a game of walk across the field. Maybe we'll have an inner game trade between a doubleheader. Who knows? All I know is that my team, this one, better get what they know they need to get. Manny, let us cheers ourselves in. It has been too long, my man.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers,
clink.
clink. All right, Manny. In box scores and bourbon fashion, we will make it cyclical. We will end the episode on trade deadline stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But first, to take a word from Julie Chin, we will begin with the fallout of LeBron going to Philly, which, if you ask me, not much of a fallout. It's not really a headline. We all knew he was clout chasing. We all knew he's chasing a ring. A month ago, Philly wasn't even on the radar. They get Jaylen Brown. He's like, ooh, well, maybe. Let's not pretend this is anything other than what it is. He's already said it. He's already said he wants a ring. He wants to get a ring with a fourth team. Okay, great. Congratulations. That's awesome. He has also said this is the last decision he will ever make.
Yes.
Which, honestly, if it holds true, could be the answer to world peace that we've all been searching for so long.
Yeah.
Manny, you're the resident NBA guy.
Yep.
Give us your thoughts on LeBron and Philly and whether or not this now makes Philly a legitimate contender in the East?
I mean, you have to think that based off of everything that the Phillies have, or the 76ers, sorry, have done. I'm already in baseball mode. So everything that the 76ers have done have put them in a better position to contend for a championship. I wouldn't necessarily put them ahead of New York quite yet, and maybe even the Pistons. They give a run for their money, but easily third best team in the Eastern Conference, locked in at no worse than third, in my opinion. Now, I will take a little bit of reservation with you saying he's ring chasing, only because every time that a comment is made about ring chasing, and not you making comments, but whenever you think about ring chasing, it's usually tied to a player that goes to a ready-made team and is just wants to latch on to get like a quote-unquote easier path to the championship. And remind you, the 76ers haven't made it to the Eastern Conference Finals in God knows how long, in the NBA championship and even longer. So this isn't a team that's like always been at the doorstep and they're just, LeBron is just getting there for a good time and just riding the waves. This is a team that's consistently struggled. The process that started in 2014 has yet to fully develop. So maybe this is like the culmination of the 12-year process that they started in Philadelphia with the 76ers. But I can't just sit here and even bash LeBron for ring chasing, because there's not much that you can say that the 76ers already had going for them that LeBron would just latch onto. Now, I will say, out of all the decisions that LeBron has made, this is one of the ones that I feel is more almost like more welcomed in the fan base of the NBA, because it wasn't as dramatic. Yes, he kind of probably dragged it on a little bit more than he needed to, but it wasn't like the decision when he went to Miami, or I'm coming home when he went back to Cleveland, or a 6-minute decision where he goes to the Lakers just to follow in Kobe's steps and kind of make his own, cement his own legacy with the Lakers. Like, this was straight up him saying, I want to contend for a championship, and I'm not going to chase the big wallet that I usually get, and probably deserves, even at this age in his career. He probably still deserved $35 million a year, and he did not get that. He got $3 million a year. And overall, you have to say, yeah, this makes the 76ers, at least puts them in a better position to compete for a championship if they can stay healthy, because we know how the 76ers organization has gone in the last few years, especially with the injuries to Embiid, the reoccurring injuries to Embiid. Like, that's has always been the story in the 76ers organization. If they could have stayed healthy, they could have made a push to the Eastern Conference Championship. And it's always the if or buts with the injuries. So if they can stay healthy and they can alleviate some of that pressure from like Embiid, where it's the team's not going through Embiid as the playmaker in the paint, and it's all a well-rounded team, this puts him in a pretty good position. And I have to tell you, I'm really impressed with the fact that LeBron did take a deal at, what did he get, $3.06 million a year for the 76ers to have gotten him. Because if they would have traded for him, just think about that for a minute. If LeBron said, I want it out of the Lakers if he was still under contract, how much would have the 76ers had to give up to get a quality player like LeBron? They would have had to blow up their team. There was no way probably two of the starters that they have on that team, maybe Maxey.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not going to trade Jaylen Brown as they got him, but there had been a lot of holes that they would have had to fill by trading for LeBron. So they got like the luxury of LeBron actually wanting to come to an organization that had pretty good pieces. And like I said, not necessarily ready a championship made. So we'll see what happens with them. But I am a little excited to see how this plays out for LeBron. Now, I will caveat this by saying I don't expect the 76ers to be in the championship this year. Usually LeBron, at whatever team LeBron is in, he gets to the championship like year 2. Like the first year that he gets to an organization, for whatever reason, if they're figuring out the role players and all the other positions that they need to put around him, it usually takes until the second year to see the full fruition. I think that's why he signed a 2-year contract and not just a 1-year contract. Of course, he got the players option after that first year, just in case things go sideways very quickly. But overall, I'm very impressed with the direction that the 76ers are going out. Since they replaced their GM, they've done nothing but really good moves for the organization, starting with the Paul George trades for Brown, and now they convinced LeBron James, without even meeting him in person, that they were the organization that he wanted to play for and chase for a championship. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the 76ers. I'm not going to say they're NBA championship favorites, but they're moving in the right direction. Now, what I do love about the rest of the fallout around the league is how many teams were waiting for him to decide to do their moves as they wanted to. Just looking at the Golden State Warriors, where Green opted out of his players option on his contract, and it was like the writing on the wall that they were going to go for LeBron. Like the day after LeBron announced he was going to the 76ers, Green signed the exact same contract he had in place before he opted out. So it was obvious that they were making a big push for LeBron, and other teams have done very similar things where they started signing their players and making the moves, solidifying their roster. But I'm curious to see if there's more moves that happen from the rest of the league and see how that all plays out, because now I'm hearing stories of like Steph Curry possibly wanting to not opt into his contract because the Golden State Warriors now have accepted that they're not necessarily going to move towards a championship, but more towards the future. Does this mean that Steph Curry opts out of his player option here in like 2 weeks, and he looks to go to a team for the first time in his career to actually compete for a championship or towards the tail end of his career? I've even heard things like Steph Curry could opt out of his contract because the Golden State Warriors are obviously not ready-made for a championship, and Jokic in Denver could possibly also opt out of his contract. So do those two players look to land together somewhere else where they can actually compete with the OKC Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs and the Knicks and maybe the 76ers? So all this fallout in the next year and a half is going to be interesting to follow, because I think there's going to be a lot more pieces that move around across both conferences just to kind of balance things out, and teams that are going to go through a complete rebuild accept that, and teams that are actually going to compete try bringing in a couple more pieces and build a little bit of a micro super team to compete with those top dogs in the NBA.
Yeah. So the LeBron decision, him going to Philly. I know Philly made some noise in the playoffs last year, and
yeah.
I mean they made noise.
They upset the Celtics. That's no short.
You're down 3-1 in that series. You come back, you beat Boston. You get it, and then they get absolutely destroyed and embarrassed at home by the Knicks.
Yeah.
This is a Philly team that obviously for years has had the linchpin was the health of Joel Embiid. They went out, they drafted VJ Edgecombe, who had almost a revelatory first season.
Mm-hmm.
You have Tyrese Maxey still there. You bring in Jaylen Brown for peanuts. And then now LeBron's like, hey, this might be an opportunity to bring to get a ring with a fourth team. That'd be great. I would be hard pressed to say that I think this is going to be the classic LeBron we're going to see. I think we're going to see more of last season LeBron. I know he had impressive numbers, 21, 7, and 7.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to remember he had the lowest minutes per game in his entire career last season. He averaged the lowest amount of points per season he has since his rookie season. It's actually identical, 20.9, but we're going to round up because we're all trillionaires here. It's not exactly where LeBron's going to be lighting up, the arenas every night. There will be a lot of load management in the first half of the season. And then look, but hey, the good news, he gets reunited with D Wade. It's Dean Wade, but it is D Wade. So
it's the Wade.
Yeah, he gets reunited with a D Wade, who also has a Cavaliers connection. So this is the D Wade that he never got to play with. Now, Dean Wade was, he's his attitude, his defense. He is a 3-and-D guy, the primary backup for LeBron in Philly. His 3-shot percentage went down the further on in the season that he was with the Cavs last year, but he's there as a primary backup. He will be ready for the call at hand whenever that happens. But I'm with you. Expectations should be tempered. This is, and it's a reason why I said, are they a contender in the East and not a contender for the championship? Because if it wasn't for the Knicks disrupting that, I would say that it still runs through the West, but Mitch Johnson ruined that dream for all of us. So, cheers to you, my man. I appreciate that.
So here's the thing that's interesting. I don't think the 76ers are done, and I think this ties into what I mentioned about Embiid and the load management to keep him healthy to get to the playoffs to actually make a push, because there was already conversations that LeBron wanted to play a version of point guard, which means they're going to have a point guard extra if he's regularly running point guard. They're going to probably move on one of those pieces to get another like big to give rotation minutes with Embiid. So I don't think the 76ers are done necessarily yet. And if they fill out the rest of the depth part of the roster, they could be contenders, because if you look at what the Spurs and really more OKC have done to be champions, it's that they have really good depth. And if the 76ers are going to take this opportunity to trade away some of the other pieces because they have LeBron that kind of hides a lot of those deficiencies, and they can bring in more role players that will fill in some of those spots and take some of those minutes off those starters' shoulders, that could be a really good team. That I think it could really work out. Now, I will ask you, JB, the infamous process that started for the 76ers, do you think this counts as part of the process, or do you think the process died a long time ago and this is just like a revamp of something new with the organization? Because they've been claiming that you have to trust the process, and now they have a pretty good team. And I don't know if this was part of the plan. I don't know if they had this in the tarot cards, that they were eventually going to trade away a bad contract in Paul George to get a really good player and then bring in LeBron because they had all the other pieces.
Yeah, no, the process ended a long time ago, and you can't say trust the process when you're trading for a wannabe number one for peanuts, and then you're signing LeBron James. Okay, that's not part of the process. That's called trades and free agents. It's not. The process ended when the jalopy known as Joel Embiid's wheels kept falling off every single season. So it's not. And no disrespect to Joel Embiid, he's a great player in his.
He's an
own
MVP.
right.
You respect him.
But my goodness, please stay healthy. You know who else was an MVP? Paul George. Okay, so let's calm down. So,
are you saying MVP means nothing to you?
I'm saying it's the NBA. A lot of things mean a lot of things in the NBA. And in the words of the Princess Bride, I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Yeah, true.
So, but yeah, the process died a long time ago. Let's not pretend that just if they have a process, every other team in the NBA has a process, because they also trade and and sign free agents, except for the New Orleans Pelicans. They do absolutely nothing. They are gonna run out with the same bum team that they had last season, making no changes other than drafting second round picks, and that's it. That's all we're doing. That's all. I don't know what process Joe Dumars subscribes to, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the Joe Dumars process.
No, it's not a very good one.
A lot of change there. I'm not seeing change.
Yeah, it was not a goal. I mean, you could say that the 76ers process didn't work either.
Come out of retirement and just say, "Hey, I'm ready to suit up again." But no, I'm not. This is ridiculous. Not. But no, it's not a process in Philly. It ended a long.
You have to. I mean, if I didn't follow like the trades and the culmination and the trickle down, but you have to respect the fact that they had a bunch of first round picks. What was it? Like their first overall pick after Embiid was like Fitz that they traded away. Was his name? Fultz. And they traded him away, and they've had these random stockpiled picks, and eventually they turned into Paul George, which turned into Jaylen Brown and LeBron James. That's a pretty good process if that was the plan the whole time.
There is much. They have just as much as a process as the Cleveland Browns have a process. Okay, or the Colorado Rockies have a process.
There's definitely a process there. Well, we'll see what happens with LeBron James. Like I said, even though the Philadelphia fan base, which is a cutthroat fan base, they've embraced it. They're not calling him whatever names because he's, I don't know, picking the easy way or whatever the hell. Whatever reason Philadelphia wants to be mad at a player, they'll find it, and they have yet to find that with LeBron. And maybe it's going to be really good for LeBron to have that kind of backing by the fan base. I will tell you this: if they start rough, that Philadelphia fan base is very quickly going to turn on him. And I don't know that LeBron has ever experienced something like that from a fan base. There's no fan base that's ever turned on LeBron James when he's in that team. Philadelphia doesn't care. They will turn on you if they don't see that
The Eagles are going to boo Jalen Hurts. They'll boo anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're gonna call for Sirianni to get fired after they won a
Santa
Super Bowl.
Claus.
They don't
Like,
care.
Who boos Santa Claus? Who boos Santa? Who does that? That is a city all its own.
Exactly. I would be a little cautious because I do feel like that could happen. I don't know if LeBron would like embrace it or like be understanding, or if he'd opt out of his player option because he doesn't like the culture in Philadelphia. But it would be interesting if they turned against him because he's never had to experience that before.
You know, it'd be a reversal of fortune for the city of Philadelphia just overall is if Christmas Day the Sixers are not are not contending. Christmas Day, every fan dresses like Santa and they boo LeBron. That I think that reverses the fortunes and all of Philly, all the sports. They all experience this kumbaya moment, and it's a moment of cleansing.
A moment of hate.
That's how it begins.
A Christmas miracle, a moment of hate.
A Christmas miracle. Yes. Speaking of miracles, let's transition to baseball. There's a lot of teams out there hoping that they have a miracle trade.
I was going to say, I'm guessing you're hoping for a miracle with the Cubs too.
That is going to help propel them. Miracle with the Cubs is that they went 27-12, 7-22, and then 27-12 again. So it doesn't mean a trend has to occur. We don't have to go 7-22 again. That's not what it means. Okay. But no, the trade deadline is approaching. This year it is Monday, August 3rd. They don't want to do it in the middle of a series. July 31st is typically the day, but July 31st is a Friday. Not the beginning of the series, but it's at the end of the week. They want it at the beginning of the week just for transaction purposes. So, I have yours truly. So I'm going to run through 4 trades I'd like to see. These aren't trades that I think are going to happen. These are trades that I would like to see as a pure baseball thing.
You're going to play God for a second.
What?
You're going to play baseball God for a second.
Yeah, I'm going to play baseball God for a second. I'm going to pretend that every team has a competent owner, and every team is actually willing to do what it takes in order to have at least a much higher possibility or probability of not getting to the World Series, but winning the World Series.
Okay, so I was about to ask you, all these trades are in mind for the teams are to be making an aggressive push to compete for the World Series this year, right? This is not like a salary dump kind of whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Okay. Pittsburgh Pirates. Obviously, I know we're all laughing right now. We're all having a great time. JB, you're such an idiot. There's no way the Pirates are going to be able to do anything. Look, they have a killer rotation. Okay. You got Paul Skeens, you got Jared Jones, you got Braxton Ashcraft, you got Mitch Keller. You have the pieces in the rotation. And the Pirate offense, if you're not paying attention, you might need to start. The Pirate offense is in the top part of the National League almost across the board. Now, I looked at their roster, and although I would like Pittsburgh to go get a third baseman, a third baseman that is a defensive wizard, the only third baseman that I see available that's a defensive wizard is Matt Chapman, but he's still on the hook for a bunch of money that the Pirates are just not going to pay for the rest of the contract. So I went another route. I went for DH. Right now, Marcell Ozuna is the DH of this team, and he stinks. He's terrible. He is doing nothing close than he did in those magical years in Atlanta. So my suggestion for the Pittsburgh Pirates, my proposed trade, is they call the Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay.
And they get George Springer. And they bring in George Springer, a proven winner. All those years with Houston, Even his time in Toronto, they haven't exactly been scrubs in Toronto. He knows how to win, and he's actually experiencing currently a resurgence at the plate for this season. His numbers are not quite what they are for his career, but they are steadily climbing in order for him to have a decent season. He's 36. The wheels really aren't there anymore. He doesn't play much outfield. He is a DH mostly. And for the Pirates part, they can trade Tamar Johnson. Tamar Johnson is a former first-round pick of the Pittsburgh Pirates, drafted, I think, 4th overall in 2022. He was picked by the Pirates because of his ability to hit, and he was such a classic hitter. It has not thus far translated in the minors yet. And so I believe Tamar Johnson is a classic change of scenery type guy. Go to Toronto. Toronto has no long-term answer, really, at least not an immediate one at second, maybe not even at shortstop. You can just plug him in. Toronto, I believe, they are buried in the mire when it comes to the playoff picture. And that is not a compliment given the parity that exists within the American League right now. The Blue Jays are not going anywhere this year, barring some huge shiftings, like just cataclysmic fault line shifts in the American League through the last 2.5 months. They're not going anywhere, or last 2 months, really. So the first trade I'd like to see, Pirates get George Springer.
Do they just trade farm system players, or do you have like the counter of what they would get rid of?
Tamar Johnson would be he's the
yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in the minors, AAA or AA right now. He's 22. He's not washed up, but definitely a post-hype guy that I think, look, you get a 36-year-old outfielder who doesn't play outfield anymore, not nearly where he used to be in his production at the plate, but you're bringing him in on an expiring contract to help try to instill and kickstart and give some energy to a young Pirate squad who seems to be doing almost everything right, except they're young and they just need that veteran presence, someone who knows how to win. JB's third trade he'd like to see. I'd like to see my Chicago Cubs do one-stop shopping with the New York Mets. And go get Clay Holmes.
Everybody.
Go get Clay Holmes as a starter, plus one of Luke Weaver, Devin Williams, or Yowaskar Brozaban. Any one of those relievers plus Clay Holmes. And in return, the Mets would get Pedro Ramirez and then Brett Bateman. Pedro Ramirez, of course, is with the Cubs right now. The problem with, and not that Pedro's an issue, the problem with the way the Cubs are set up is they essentially have 6 infielders. 3 of them are locked up on contracts. One of them is, and then the other 3 are just locked up because of arbitration. You got Matt Shaw, who's a super utility guy. We'll get back to him. You got Pedro Ramirez, and you got James Triantos. Those guys can absolutely stay on the bench. 2 of those 3 can stay on the bench. I'm more inclined to trade Pedro just because he's been so hot at the plate lately. You want to be able to sell what you can in the moment in order to be able to get as much as you can get back. And also, as a bonus, you don't have to trade so much from your farm system if you have a guy who's performing right now. Now, Brett Bateman, he's an outfielder. He's essentially blocked at the major league level. He's the Cubs' 21st ranked prospect. The dude's a hitter. He knows how to hit. And so Bateman can go to the Mets. He can take over for conceivably Luis Robert, who's probably going to get traded. And then Pedro Ramirez can actually slide into second base. He could slide to third base. He could do all these things. I say slide to second base just because, well, they got Marcus Semien. Maybe they DFA him. He stinks now. He's at the end of his career. He's not doing anything anymore. But maybe they just put him at third. They've had horrendous production at third base. But with Clay Holmes, there is some retainability beyond this season. There's an option for next season, which the Cubs would more than likely exercise. And all of Luke Weaver, Brazaban, and Devin Williams all are locked up beyond this season. So you want to give Pedro Ramirez and then a guy like Pedro Ramirez to the Mets because maybe they'll eat some of that contract that Luke Weaver has or that Devin Williams had. You ask our Brazaban, he's 36, but he's in that weird area of his life where he's still under arbitration. It took a while for his career to take off. So I'd like to see the Cubs kill two birds with one stone with one team. And you do Pedro Ramirez as an olive branch. Hey, sorry for stealing PCA from you. I get it. He's a superstar. I'm sorry you're an idiot. But here we go. We'll just flesh this out. JB, go ahead.
Let me interject right now because we are at a crossroads with my trade list that I have, and I have Clay Holmes on my list too. Now, am I mistaken that he has an opt-out after this year on his contract?
He's got a $12 million player option.
Yeah.
So he has the opportunity to and that means that as a player, he can elect the right to say, you're going to give me $12 million. It's not like 12 or 21. My dyslexia is kicking in. It's between 12 and 21 million, but he's got that for next year. So he has the ability to be able to say, nah, I'm good. But his numbers this year aren't nearly what they were last year. And so
he was hurt, right?
He's hurt right now.
He's about to come back, I believe.
I mean, his numbers before he left, they were good. But he's hurt right now. You don't know what you're going to get when he comes back. But it's not an arm injury. It's his fibula. So, I mean, you don't have to worry about it, the mechanics or anything like that. Just get his legs fresh. He should be good. I think he just had his second rehab start. Looked good. 4 innings, I believe, was shutout ball, 3 Ks, 2 walks. So he looks good on his rehab starts. And so being able to just pay a little bit of a premium for a guy. I believe there is a club option in there as well. If the team decides to deny the club option, the player has a chance to elect his player option. I believe it is. So JB's number 2 trade he'd like to see. Now, I said at the onset, I didn't think these are trades that are going to happen. These are trades I'd like to see.
Okay.
With that said, I would very much like this trade not to happen, but because
you just said you would like it to happen.
Listen, Manny, I like to see ownership and front offices do well by their fans. Okay.
So for your own personal gain, you don't want this to happen, but as a team,
as a Cubs fan, I don't want to see this at all. But as a baseball fan, I understand when your team is doing so well that they do almost nothing of note to really help propel your team in order to get where they need to go. And this is a trade for this team that I think they absolutely need to do in order to have success if there were a rematch in an NLCS this year. And that is the Milwaukee Brewers.
Okay.
I would like to see, again, half-heartedly, I would like to see the Brewers trade for Tarek Skubal.
Oh!
And the Brewers go get Tarek Skubal, and the return is all of Luis Lara, Jet Williams, and Logan Henderson. Now, for the Tigers, if I'm the Tigers right now, and I know I'm not extending Tarek Skubal. I know it's wishy-washy right now whether or not the Tigers even have a chance to actually even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Maybe a much better chance to win the Central, depending on how the White Sox do. But you get Jet Williams, okay? He can be your solution in, I believe it is right field right now. Move Jet Williams to right field. He can play either of short, second, or outfield. Move him to right field. Luis Lara, you can move him to center field where Javi Baez is, which then moves Javi to a super utility role. Now, Javi understands super utility. Okay, he was able to watch Ben Zobrist do the same thing at the end of his career with the Cubs. And then Logan Henderson, who has just returned from injury, looks good with the Brewers. He can slot in and take the rotation slot that currently belongs to Skubal. And the Tigers would have Framber Valdez, Troy Melton, Carter Montero, Logan Henderson. It wouldn't be the rotation it would be with Skubal in it, but it would still be formidable enough to at least make a run to win the AL Central.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you win the AL Central, you're probably going to win a second seed because the AL West, it stinks.
Yeah.
Now, the Brewers, and I say this because it is not at all in the Brewers' DNA. Matt Arnold does not do this. He adds at the fringes. Most of the big moves he makes are in the off season. Getting guys like Kyle Harrison and William Contreras. He did that in the offseason, not at the deadline. He doesn't push in all his chips in order to do this. But get this rotation if they get Tarek Skubal. Tarek Skubal, The Miz, Shane Drohan, Robert Gasser, Brandon Sproat, and then Kyle Harrison, who's slated to return early August. So that is, and all of Drohan, Gasser, and Sproat, they all have an ERA south of 4 within their last 7 games pitched. That is a formidable rotation. And I know it's only for 2 months, and you're giving up quite a bit, but the Brewers have the best farm system in baseball. Matt Arnold's other skill is, and his team, is their ability to evaluate talent and be able to get talent where other people or the teams can't seem to really find it. So I don't see them being that's an issue because they got Jet Williams in the Freddie Peralta deal. They got Jet Williams from the Mets. And so this is absolutely a deal that I think as a fan, the Brewers should make as a lifelong follower of the Church of the Chicago Cubs. I do not want to see it. That would be terrible for me. And I would hate the Brewers don't lose anyway. Tarek Skubal would undoubtedly not get hurt and then somehow sign a team-friendly deal for 12 years, $80 million or some such, because it's the Brewers' luck, and he'd be there for the rest of his life, and it would just destroy my life.
And remind me, JB, where exactly in the standings do the Brewers currently sit in the National League?
They sit currently right behind the Dodgers in the National League. So if they want to have a reverse of what happened in the NLCS last year, they would highly think about making a move like this. It is completely out of their DNA. It is not. It is out of character for them. Yep. I don't see this trade happening at all, which is why I said trades I'd like to see, and trades more specifically I'd like to see just as a fan of baseball. So, JB's number one trade he'd like to see, and this involves your New York Yankees.
Ooh, let me tidy up. Go ahead.
I would like to see the New York Yankees go out and trade for Hunter Goodman, the catcher from the Colorado Rockies. And in return, it's 2 players that the Yankees would send back, okay? But these are their second and third best prospects, okay?
Okay, prospects, okay.
It is, I'm not sending anybody from the big league role, so that's
I don't know. Well, I don't know what this trade is. I don't know what the...
Max Fried. No, it's...
I don't know
it is
what's going on right now.
It's Dax Kilby, and
Okay.
Elmer Rodriguez. Dax Kilby, for those who aren't familiar, and for Elmer Rodriguez, Dax Kilby is a shortstop and number 2 rated prospect in the Yankee system, according to MLB.com. He can absolutely be the shortstop of the future for the Rockies, a la Troy Tulowitzki. Tovar's not having a great season. In fact, his numbers really over the course of the last 3 seasons total haven't really been inspiring. So you get a future shortstop for your team, and then Elmer Rodriguez. Now, he's the 3rd best prospect in the Yankee system. I picked Elmer Rodriguez. Now, part of my digging into the Yankee system to figure out who would be the best type of pitcher for the Rockies to attain is a guy who has the ability to have a high ground ball percentage. You want as many balls on the ground in Coors Field as you can possibly get. Now, I'm not saying anything about the Rockies' defense. The Rockies stink. Everything about them stinks except Hunter Goodman. Now, Elmer Rodriguez, his ability to keep the ball on the ground, it projects around like a 55% ground ball percentage, which is awesome if you're a Coors Field pitcher. So the Rockies, in exchange for Hunter Goodman and his 3 years of control, the Yankees send their number 2 and number 3 organizational prospect in order for them to get that across the finish.
As much as so, I do agree that the Yankees probably are looking in the weeds of getting a catcher, but it's just so hard for me to see them in a hypothetical trade away like some prospects, because the Yankees have infamously not maintained a really good farm system because they're constantly trying to bring in big names, and they get rid of like their marquee prospects to bring in big names. So if they're going to get rid of their number 2 and the number 3 prospect, they continue to put themselves in this box of like win now, which I know the Yankees usually are like in the win now forever mode. But eventually I would like for them to start, having some prospects, having some depth in the minor leagues that they could actually bring up, and not just relying on big contracts to be contenders in the major leagues. This is just, as much as I would like for them to make the trade, it just hurts that they would have to still exhaust the number 2 and the number 3 prospect of a farm system that's already depleted and not very well developed. Compared to like the Brewers and the Rays and all the other teams that have really good farm systems, the Yankees just don't have that, and it would suck for them to continue to do the same thing that they've done for the last 10 years of just trading away the prospects for ready players now.
Yeah. Look, I mean, that's what's going to cost. And, I almost had the Nationals were floating around trading C.J. Abrams. I almost had that on the Yankees' radar.
Mm-hmm.
That would have cost a pretty penny. And I didn't see that necessary, especially with George Lombard right there, ready to go to take up shortstop in the midst of a pennant run, be able to bring him up. Anthony Volpe, he stinks. He's not the answer. Jose Caballero, obviously not going to be the answer.
It's like wishy-washy.
So bring up George Lombard or a bigger package in order to get C.J. Abrams. But this deal, in order for them to bring up a catcher who has 30 homer potential and would absolutely feast in that short right field porch, I think is just too big to pass up, especially in a season with questions about Judge and the only source of offense on this team being Ben Rice. So Uncle Ben is the only one doing anything right now, and somehow the Yankees are still hanging in there.
Yeah, I mean, and if they're going to replace Austin Wells as the starting catcher, that's not the worst situation to be in, because he's also been a little wishy-washy. Same with Caballero. I mean, the whole organization has been wishy-washy since Aaron Judge got hurt. So I could get behind some betterment trades, but it's just a hard thing to like fully embrace. I know you can't have your cake and eat it too, but I would like for them to have prospects still in their back pocket.
Why else do you get a cake? Why else does anyone get a cake? Who's buying cakes and not eating them? Who's
Yeah,
doing that? I want to
I
meet
don't
these.
know. I'm just going based off of what I was told, and I was told you can't have your cake and eat it too, JB.
Yeah, no, I want to meet these people who buy cakes, or even take the time to make a cake and don't eat it. What is
you,
what is your
you
problem?
can't at the same time eat the cake and still have the cake. It's like
That's
the
exactly
weird
how I
paradox.
eat it. I have it.
Well,
I
you
can't
can't.
eat a cake I don't have.
Do you want your cake or not? That's the question. Do you want to have your
I
cake or do you
can't.
want to
I
eat your
can't
cake?
eat a cake I don't have. This isn't a book, okay? This isn't imaginary cakes. All right, I'm not having imaginary food fights. All right,
Anyway,
I believe, Manny, you have
yes,
some quick reaction.
I do. I
Uh,
have some deep diving ish. And here's the way that I approach this trade stuff that I'm about to pitch to you. I've looked at realistic players that are most likely going to be on the move, and I didn't necessarily go with the more expected trade because there's some players that a lot of like insiders are saying like he's probably going to go with this or that team or whatever, like insider information that you kind of want to get ahead of the game on. I didn't necessarily go with the most expected trade, but I went with the players that are more likely to get traded. So I'm going to give you 9 players, and we're going to run through them real quick. I'm going to tell you why I picked them for that trade, and then you just tell me how you feel about the trade. All right?
okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
Let's start off with Lane Thomas, the outfielder from the Royals. He would be a rental for the year. He's a right-handed outfielder, he's been really good against left-handed pitching, and he's batting a 261 with a 799 OPS. And I have him going to the Mariners. Now the Seattle Mariners need a consistent outfield offense. Their pitching is good, but their offense is very much not okay. So Thomas would give them a reliable bat with some power and speed. He's the kind of mid-tier upgrade that fits their win-now push without costing elite prospects. So how would you feel about Lane Thomas going to the Mariners as a solid batting option?
I don't think that solves their problems. I think the Mariners have a bigger issue, and that's just the production all around from the whole team. So when you look at the Mariners roster as it is now, when your first baseman Josh Naylor leads your team in stolen bases, that's a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, it is.
They have no on base. They have no slug. Lane Thomas is going to give you. He might give you some slug. Not going to give you that on base that you'd like. I'd like to see the Mariners go after a catcher that can push Cal Raleigh. Maybe a Jonah Heim. He's kind of in the same realm as a Lane Thomas. Wouldn't cost a lot, but a Jonah Heim coming from the A's will be able to maybe infuse a little bit of life behind the plate for the Mariners. But I don't see Lane Thomas making that much sense.
I mean, the way I was looking at it is if they have a solid rotation on their pitching, they just need to make some moves to increase their batting. And I mean, I think it would be a good starting move. Now, I think they would have to do more than just him to fix their offense, but it would be a good starting move with the trade deadline to make their offense a little bit more.
Now, here is one move that they could make, and it's intra division. They could trade Emerson Hancock for Joe Adell. I think that would make some sense. You would trade prospect, like post-hype prospect for post-hype guy, and then maybe you can make that work.
Okay. Well, speaking of Joe Adell, I have him on my list too. So let's move right on along. Joe Adell, out of the Angels, outfielder, 10 home runs this year, 951 OPS. He's under contract and won't be a free agent until next off season. So I have him getting traded to the Phillies. He's a power bat. It would be a kind of a gamble trade for a late push with the Phillies with where they are right now. Now the GM for the Phillies wants a bullpen, but he might go for a right-handed hitting outfielder that actually finishes his wish list. So how do you feel about Joe Adell going to the Phillies?
I don't mind the idea. I think that that the Phillies absolutely need relief pitching in this. I don't see an issue with Joe Adell. I would like to see Mike Trout get traded to Philly.
Yeah,
That would be
okay.
fun.
I don't have him on my list.
I didn't think you did. But Mike Trout's also a right-handed hitting outfielder. He would fit well. But this is Joe Adell going there wouldn't be a bad fit. Being able to sit up top and maybe him being infused in a pennant run would actually somehow get the most out of him. But I don't dislike the idea of the
All
Phillies
right.
going to get Adele. But it's
All
not it's not something Dave Dombrowski does. Dave Dombrowski, is the president of baseball operations.
Yep.
Damn it. Cardinals beat the Cubs 3-2-10.
Oh, damn
anyway, this Dombrowski's more of like, okay, I'm just going to push all my chips in. I get the feeling he wants to do that again this year, especially, and he's the only guy in the middle of a skid. He'll say, I want to push all my chips in now. So they're currently third in the wild card right now.
Mhm.
So the D-backs are on the surge currently. But Joe Adell, maybe plus a reliever from the Angels. I could see that happening.
Okay, not bad. We're moving in the right direction. My next trade chip would be Mickey Moniak out of the Rockies. Left-handed hitter. He has a year left in arbitration. He has a 103 OPS. He's great on the road. Now I have him going to the Astros. The Astros could the Astros could use a left-handed bat and some depth at the outfield, especially with their lineup inconsistency. Moniak could offer an upside and flexibility as a platoon option without requiring a big return for the trade.
Yeah, on the surface, I don't mind the trade for Moniak, but you have to remember. So one of the things to consider, most of Mickey Moniak's production, I believe he has an 883 OPS right now. Most of that figure comes from home. When he's away from home, when he's at home,
He's good.
It's 1,032. Away from Coors, it stinks. It's below 700.
Yeah, that's
and honestly,
I flipped the OPSs. That's what I had on my sheet. 103.3 and then 652 on the road. So
yeah, so and I don't know if the Astros actually want to do anything I know again, this goes back to the parity in the American League and just how weak the American League is this year. If you're so the Astros somehow have found their way kind of back in the race.
Yeah.
I think they're a game out of the last wild card right now. I think it is maybe 2 games out.
Let me see where they are.
If I'm Houston, I'm looking at trying to bring in a starting pitcher.
Okay.
They have the third to worst team ERA in the American League. It's not particularly close. So it's not nearly as bad as the A's, but it's pretty dang bad. If I'm Houston, I'm looking at trying to bring in a starting pitcher now. But Houston, just a week ago, was talking about trade not just Josh Hader, but also Jeremy Pena. So, and maybe they could do maybe what the Tigers might do is trade the current for the current plus the future. Maybe that's what they'll try to do. I don't know. But Mickey Moniak with Houston, I don't see it happening.
You don't like it? And
No.
Houston is currently sitting a game and a half out of the last third place in the American League.
Yeah,
for the
I don't think
wild card.
Moniak's going to help that.
Yeah, well, when you look at records, I guess you could make an argument for that. All right, moving on. I have Robbie Ray of the Giants going to your Cubs.
I wouldn't mind it. My only issue with Robbie Ray is he walks too many guys. Now, Robbie Ray, of course, will be playing in front of the best defense in baseball. which is why I wanted them to go after Clay Holmes and one of those three relievers. They're all extreme ground ball guys. So if you get a ground ball guy in front of that defense, that would be great. I don't mind Robbie Ray. My issue with Robbie Ray is I believe he's on an expiring contract.
He is. He's on the last of his 5-year contract.
Yeah, and the Cubs have most of, if not all of their rotation. Most of their rotation is going to be gone after this season, which is why I like the prospect of Clay Holmes. But if they only get one guy, Robbie Ray, I mean, I'm not going to sneeze at him. He's probably one of my top 10 guys. If I'm the realistic guys, that if I'm the Cubs, I would go get. But I don't hate the idea, but not as my primary.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, that would be one of the selling points is that he is on the last year of his contract. So he would probably be on the cheaper side to be able to trade for. And maybe if the Cubs are trying to make a push to actually, better themselves and put themselves in a better position, considering they're fourth in the league right now, they might want to find some cheap options that could make them a little bit better. But yeah, you're right. His ERA is 3.16 this year, so it's not the best.
Well, no, I mean 3.16 is great. I mean, even if it was 3.96, it's better than the options the Cubs have now. So I wouldn't mind it. And you're putting in front of the best defense in all of baseball. This is, it's absolutely something that's doable. I'm just not a fan of the walk rate. I don't think his ERA is sustainable for the amount of batters that he leaves on base.
And you're gonna start noticing a trend. I do, based off of all the articles that I've been reading, it seems like there's gonna be a big sellers market on pitchers. So you're gonna start seeing a trend on some pitchers coming up on this list, which goes right into the next name, which is Foster Griffin, the left-handed pitcher out of the Nationals. And I have him going to the Rays. You could give the Nats a really good. The Nats could give some really good farm system pieces. The Nats could get some farm system pieces out of the Rays, who have a very deep farm system, and the Rays are always aggressive on controllable and breakout pitching. Griffin fits that mold perfectly. He's one of the better starters available, and the Rays have the prospects to be able to actually land him. So how do you feel about Foster Griffin to the Rays? Now, this is a little bit wishy-washy for me because I'm not too sure how big the Rays are actually going to be on buying at this trade deadline, especially with using their prospects as the trade pieces for starters right now. But Foster Griffin to the Rays.
Look, if I'm any team, I'm going to be a little bit skittish trading with the Nationals. I know this is new ownership, a new front office. This is absolutely, but the Nationals' history is to be able to get as much as they can for one player. Mm-hmm. Foster Griffin, he's 31. He's having a phenomenal year. He's
exactly.
on a 1 year, $5.5 million contract. So the Rays would be buying a rental for 2 months. I don't mind it though. I don't think it's something they need. They are in the top 5 of team ERA right now, and the Rays have they created the new way of pitching when it comes to openers and having relievers cover for starters. This is a culture of pitching that absolutely knows how to cover down for one another. And no matter who you trade over there, they're somehow going to figure it out and become aces and all-stars. So if I'm Tampa Bay and you can get Foster Griffin, great. Go ahead and get him. My only thing is I don't think they're going to want to trade what I believe they're going to have to trade in order to get a guy like Foster Griffin. Now, if you're going to trade for a guy like Foster Griffin, who's a rental, 31, why not just up the ante and go after Tarek Skubal?
I mean, every team should be calling about Skubal right now. That's
which the Rays, by multiple reports, I mean, they could be a team that shocks everyone and says, hey, we're going in.
Yeah,
We're going all in.
and the Rays are currently leading the American League. So if there was a year for them to make a very aggressive push, if it's just pitching that they're going to look for, this would be the year, because I'm not too sure that this is going to be the status quo with the Rays kind of leading the American League or just being top of the division or anything like that consistently. So if they want to, like I always say, catch lightning in a bottle, this could be the year that they would be very aggressive about that approach. So moving on, you already mentioned this player, but I have a different destination for him. Clay Holmes from the Mets going to the Red Sox instead of your Cubs.
I don't mind Clay Holmes going to the Red Sox. I mean, that's a good idea in theory, but the Red Sox are one of the worst offensive teams in the American League.
But you don't forget, JB, this is not the only trades that I'm expecting to happen.
Hear me out. If you're going to go out and get Clay Holmes, why not go out and get Clay Holmes and then go out and get Luis Robert as well? Go out and get the potential in order for your offense to be injected with some power. The Boston Red Sox, I know they're being floated right now by players like Sonny Gray and Aroldis Chapman and a career here by Wilson Contreras. But Roman Anthony, I believe he's still out. I don't think he's back yet. You want to be able to go and get the pieces you can. So I'll just say this, while you're on the phone with the Mets, ask about Luis Robert.
Sure.
Ask about him as well. Bring him into the clubhouse and see what he can infuse.
So what you're saying is, sure, Clay Holmes, but don't let that be the only move they make. And I seeing how the Red Sox have been in the last month, I do feel like they're feeling like there's something going on with their roster that is something they can really capture going into October. I feel like they're going to be one of the more aggressive teams to just bring in as much as possible to really embrace whatever they have going.
But if you're a Red Sox fan, and I know many, shout out to my sister and her husband, I know their expectations are tempered because I think, yes, the Red Sox did a great job winning 15 in a row, bringing themselves out of the mire.
Yeah.
But a lot of that had to do with the fact that at that same time, the American League as a whole was just downward. Mm-hmm. So it was this perfect storm. The Cubs have the best record since June 11th. They're 27-12, and they only gained a game and a half on the Brewers because they just won't lose. So the Red Sox, while they are, I believe they're second right now in the wild. They're the second wild card right now behind the Yankees in American League.
Yep.
This is an offense you can't trust right now. You cannot trust it. And so so if the Red Sox if Breslow and company go out and actually go try to and I agree with your sentiment in the Red Sox being very aggressive at the deadline, which I believe they should be. Take advantage. Strike while the iron's hot. If the American League isn't going to try and you're the only one trying, go ahead.
Yep.
Godspeed and prosper.
I mean, the Red Sox's run differential is plus 47, so their offense isn't doing the worst. So if they really wanted to just solidify the team overall, they could go for some pitching. And they could obviously add more pieces on the offensive side, but they're not in the worst position right now. Let's go through these next three, probably more controversial. Maybe you have an issue with these next three. Next is Luis Arias from the Giants going to the Astros. Arias gives Houston exactly what they are missing: an elite contact guy, an on-base ability at the top of the lineup, and he can balance a power-heavy roster and make the offense more consistent. How do you feel, Giants, Astros, Luis Arias?
I want to put a caveat on the whole Luis Arias on-base threat, okay? This is a guy who does not take walks. He just doesn't. Okay? I know he spoiled 2 Triple Crowns in his career. He's got a 366 OPB, but that's with a 331 batting average. If you're hitting 331, your on base should be well north of 400. But he does not walk. He just doesn't. Over the course of his last 30 games, okay, he has hit 356 with an on-base percentage of 396. He has taken a total of 9 walks. In the words of Ferris Bueller's principle, 9 times. He has only walked 9 times. And even his last 7 games, he's hit 433. His on-base percentage is lower than his batting average. How is that even possible? He is hitting 433 with a 419 on-base
That's pretty
percentage.
good. That's pretty good.
That's impressive. I've not seen that. So this dude. There's a reason the majors they do not like this guy. Teams don't like him because he doesn't fit the mold of what they would like to see. We're in an era of baseball where low percentage, high OPB, high slug, 500 slug, that's where you want to be. This is a guy who has mastered his craft. Now, would he hurt any team? No, because he's gonna hit. He's gonna be on base. You know that much. He's the only guy you can say 4 out of 10 times he's gonna be on base.
You just hate that he's too aggressive at the when he's batting.
He's not even aggressive. He's just uber selective. And he knows his pitch and he does not miss it. More often than not, he does not miss his pitch. He will put bat to ball and he will smack it in the outfield. Now, him going to any team, I think will improve it, because even if he doesn't steal second or he doesn't walk, 4 times out of 10 he's getting on base. He's getting on base.
Yeah.
Just put him in front of the guy who's going to put him in front of your Adam Dunn, who is going to hit 220 but jack 40 or 50 homers. There's 2 runs right there. So
that's not a bad strategy.
It's not a bad strategy, but you also have to understand that Luis Ariz, I know he played first with the Marlins. He's played at third with the Giants. This is a second baseman by trade. You put him anywhere you want. It's not going to impact his bat, but you also have to worry about your defense when it comes to this.
Sure. All right, moving on. The next trade prospect is Kevin Gausman out of the Blue Jays, and I have him going, a team we haven't talked about, the White Sox. They would be adding a controllable and rotational depth to support the young hustlers' approach with inning limits. The White Sox could target a veteran like Gausman to anchor the rotation and push towards actual contention. He adds reliability and innings to a staff that needs stability. Now, first, I'll ask you, how do you feel about the trade? But secondly, how do you feel about the White Sox embracing what they have going on this year and going into more of a buyer's approach going into October?
Now, first, I'm going to push back on his contract. He's a free agent after this year.
He is.
So he would not be controllable by any means. But the White Sox getting a guy like Kevin Gausman, he's not having his best season. In fact, the last month has been atrocious for him. But Kevin Gausman in an environment where there are playoff implications. We all know, we've all seen the best of Kevin Gausman. Him being able to go to a young White Sox team, the impact that could have even just in the clubhouse. So I don't mind this deal at all. Chris Getz, GM for the White Sox, has done a fantastic job building this roster, building it good enough in order for them to be number 1 in the AL Central. So by all means, go ahead and get him. If you can get Kevin Gausman, go get him.
Fair enough. And very quickly, the last one before we close this out with a more open discussion. The last trade piece that I have on my list is Freddie Peralta from the Mets going to the Brewers. And you hinted at what the Brewers should be doing, but the Brewers have been known for being able to really develop and fix pitching, and there's an impression that the reason that Peralta is struggling this year is because of the Mets, not because of his internal struggles. So them trading for him to go back to the Brewers with the impression that they could quote unquote fix whatever Peralta's struggles are. How do you feel about that trade?
I don't think the Brewers are going to go back out and reunite with one Frederick Peralta. There was a reason why. The reason why they traded him was because he didn't get too expensive. But I just don't see the Brewers going back to get Peralta. And the reason being is, I know he's got a familiarity in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's got, he was able to pitch under Pat Murphy last year. I just don't see them trading the prospects that I believe the Mets would look for in return in order to get Freddie Peralta. I see his numbers. I know his numbers. His strikeout rate is down. His whip is way up. He is not nearly the guy that he has been during his course with the Brewers. I just don't see it happening. I think if you asked a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago, possibly. Oh, look at that. Cubs considering Skubal move. I like that. So just don't trade Josiah Hartshorn or Matt Shaw. Don't do it. But back to the Brewers, I don't see that happening. Like, look, I know I sat here and said Tarek Skubal go to the Brewers. I can see the Brewers going after a guy like Robbie Ray. I can see a guy. I can see someone like even Kevin Gausman going to the Brewers, but there's a chance that the Brewers may not even go after starting pitching. They have Kyle Harris.
They're pretty well rounded if you look at them overall.
They're doing pretty well in the starting rotation.
Yeah,
I can see them going after some relief pitchers. I can honestly see them maybe going out and maybe trying to bring back Josh Hader. I can see that. Or maybe even Devin Williams, if the Mets would eat some of that contract. Bring back Devin Williams. See how he does back with the Brewers. But Freddie Peralta, I don't see it.
All right. And my last open-ended question for you, JB, the one and only Tarek Skubal. There, in my opinion, there is 4 teams that are, well, now 5 considering what you're just saying about the Cubs, but there is 4 teams that are looking into possibly being aggressive about trading for Tarek Skubal. Those being the Phillies, the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Rays. Which team should be the most aggressive to trade for Skubal, the 2-time Cy Young winning pitcher out of Detroit?
The Dodgers. If the Dodgers, I know you don't want to hear it. I know. If the Dodgers want to stand any chance at being able to three-peat, they need starting pitching. They need it. Ohtani's not going to pitch anytime soon. Blake Snell has not been reliable. Glasnow, not been reliable. Yoshi's the only one. I mean, he looks great out there. But, and the only reason I say the Dodgers is because I think they're the only ones that are unafraid to be that aggressive. They have so much they can trade from. And then you can start with the package that headlined by Emmett Sheehan, going back to the Tigers. It's not at all. This is the same thing they did when they traded for Mad Max and Trey Turner. There is no end to what the Dodgers will do. There's no end to it at all. You grimace at this. The Yankees did this for years. And
in the 90s.
They did this forever. They did this. This is not. You are the last fan that should be upset. If you're upset, it's because you're projecting that new Steinbrenner, that Timu Steinbrenner, won't go out and do this. And so the Dodgers are the team that I think will do it, but who should be the most aggressive? It should be Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, out of those teams you listed, Tampa Bay should be the most aggressive. It is unfathomable to me that you would have an ownership and a front office that is just unwilling to budge in this. If you have the best record in a flailing American League, the best record, you have a phenomenal chance at getting a bye. You have a chance at this. So, and that's only if you keep the lead in the East. Only if you do. And the only reason I think the Rays should go out the Tarek is because I believe the Yankees will be strongly active at this deadline. I don't think the Yankees are going to just sit status quo. I know Brian Cashman has 0% chance of being fired. Aaron Boone, less than 0% chance of being fired. So if Aaron Boone wasn't fired out of that fifth inning in the 2024 World Series, he's never getting fired. He's going to die in a Yankee jersey in that dugout. This Yankee squad is too good. And especially when you're getting there and Aaron Judge is not even part of the equation. You are still smacked in it. You have the second best record in the American League, and they are right behind the Rays for first place in the East. The Yankees will not stay quiet. The Rays should not stay quiet. If they want an opportunity, not just to get to the World Series, but to win it, you need to be aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, between the Rays and the Yankees, you'd be proud that I did. Out of all these trades, I could have put like 4 of these players going to the Yankees, but I put aside my fan base or my fandom, and I just
put the best player on the market.
Well, I didn't even put them as like the go-to destination. I just put them as one of the options because it's very obvious that they're going to go after him. Now, if it came down to the American side and it's the Yankees and the Rays as being the most aggressive, which of the two do you think are in a better position to like give the most, or it'd be worth for them to give the most to get Skubal? I know we're like making him seem like the godlike trade, but he's a pretty big piece to be traded. Do you think it's worth more while for the Yankees to like give whatever it takes to get him, or the Rays, which have a very deep farm system, for them to just trade their future to get him right now?
I'm going to rephrase your question. It's 2 different questions. Who has the most to give them? Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Who do I think will be the most aggressive to go get him? It's the Yankees. The Yankees will be the most aggressive. The Rays have the most to offer.
But you still think the Dodgers will be the one that will most likely get him?
Well, you said out of these 2 teams.
Sure, but I'm taking it back into the original approach.
The 2 most aggressive teams in this will be, out of that scenario, the 2 most aggressive teams will be the Dodgers and the Phillies. Now, because Dave Dombrowski, he doesn't give a flip. That dude will trade a prospect for a bag of Zapp's potato chips if he thought it would give them a World Series ring. So this is it is not exactly like a perfect universe here. But out of those 4 teams, the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Yankees, the Rays. If you're asking me who should be the most aggressive, it's the Rays. If you're asking me between the Rays and the Yankees, the Rays have the most to offer. The Yankees would be the most aggressive.
Oh, fair enough. All right, well, that wraps up my list, JB. To close out the episode, what were you drinking? What were you smoking? How did you enjoy?
I was drinking this bottle of Traveler. I know I got the big old ring light right here. And I was smoking a Tabernacle Lancero. Manny, what were you drinking?
This was not planned, JB, and I came across this bottle randomly.
Oh, Traveler. Look at that. Wow.
A very good blended whiskey. I saw it and I thought I usually go for more, Kentucky bourbon, straight whiskey, and this was a blended one. And I want to try something a little bit different. First time I've tried it, it was very good. And I promise all our viewers and listeners, this was not planned whatsoever. I did not know that that's what JB was going to be drinking, and I just bought this bottle, so there was no way that we could have possibly planned this. But it's almost like our brains are
No way we
more
could
and
possibly
more.
plan this other than we texted each other, said, "What are you wearing?"
Yeah.
I said, I'm wearing Traveler. That's what I'm wearing. Boys and girls, you can find full episodes of your Box Scores and Bourbon podcast, Box Scores and Bourbon, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Additional content at BSB Sports 24 on X, Instagram, and TikTok. And until next time, stay thirsty.
Cheers, everyone.